Hi and good day, esteemed colleagues, distinguished guests, and organizers. I am Mayet Coronacion, working as the Secretary to the Director General of the Fujairah International Airport Department of Civil Aviation here in the United Arab Emirates. Alongside, I am pursuing my doctor in Business Administration at the Polytechnic University of the Philippines, and my research interests focused on human resource management, organizational justice, employee engagement, and the integration of artificial intelligence into the recruitment and retention strategies. Currently, I live and work in Fujairah, one of the peaceful emirates located in the east coast of the UAE, where aviation is a growing sector. This environment provides a unique vantage point for studying how technology and human capital intersect in multicultural workplaces. My study is entitled AI Driven Recruitment and Talent Retention Strategies in Multicultural Aviation Workforces, a Narrative Literature Review. This study was motivated by a pressing challenge wherein aviation HR struggles to retain skilled professionals in multicultural settings, wherein recruitment has traditionally relied on manual screening, which is very slow and subjective. AI tools like the resume parsers, chatbots, predictive analytics, and video interview platforms promise efficiency and objectivity. But efficiency alone is not enough. Fairness, transparency, and cultural adaptability remain unresolved. While AI technologies promise efficiency and objectivity in recruitment, their success depends heavily on how leaders implement and oversee them. In multicultural aviation workforce, this accountability is not optional. It is essential for building trust among employees who may be skeptical of algorithmic decision making. So this study therefore asked, how does AI driven recruitment influence retention outcomes, engagement, and fairness in multicultural aviation? This study is to review existing research on AI's impact on recruitment and retention. This establishes the foundation by synthesizing what scholars have already discovered. Second is to understand how engagement connects AI recruitment to retention. Third is to explore how culture and demographics influence fairness and trust. And then finally, to identify leadership practices that build trust and support ethical AI use. This final objective emphasizes accountability. It focuses on how leaders can model fairness, explain AI processes, and ensure that technology is used responsibly. Now that I have introduced the objectives of the study, let me explain the framework and theoretical foundations that, guide, that guided this research. These theories provide the lens through which we interpret AI driven recruitment and its impact on retention in multicultural aviation workforces. First is the organizational justice theory, which was developed by Greenberg in year 1987, which explains how perception of fairness influence employee attitudes and behavior. The second foundation is the employee engagement theory by Kahn 1990, where he referred to engagement as the psychological condition that make employees feel involved, valued, and motivated. In this study, engagement is seen as the mediating variable between AI recruitment and retention. This theory explains why technology alone cannot secure loyalty. Human centered engagement must be embedded in recruitment processes. The third foundation is the ethical leadership theory by Brown and Trevino, 2006, where they refer that ethical leaders are those who model fairness, transparency, and accountability. The fourth foundation is the Hofstede's Cultural Dimensions Framework, year 2010, which explains how cultural values shape workplace perceptions of innovation workforces. For example, these environments are inherently multicultural, comprising employees from uh, diverse nationalities, genders, and professional backgrounds. So, how does these theories interconnect? Taken together, these theories form a multi-dimensional framework. Organizational justice theory explains the role of fairness, while the employee engagement theory shows how engagement mediates retention, and the ethical leadership theory highlights accountability and HR adoption, while the cultural dimensions framework contextualizes fairness and trust in multicultural settings. By integrating this perspective, the study demonstrates that AI recruitment is not just a technical innovation. It is a human-centered practice shaped by fairness, engagement, leadership, and culture. With this framework in mind, let us now move to the design and methodology. This study used a narrative literature review as its design. Unlike systematic reviews, which follow rigid inclusion and exclusion criteria, narrative reviews allow flexibility to integrate diverse perspective. This was important because aviation HR is a multicultural safety critical field, and the literature spans Western, Asian, and the Middle Eastern context. A narrative approach allowed me to synthesize theories, empirical findings, and cultural insights into one coherent framework. The qualitative synthesis meant I was not just summarizing studies but critically analyzing them, identifying patterns, contradictions, and gaps. For example, while Western studies emphasize efficiency, Middle Eastern studies highlighted fairness and cultural adaptability. So, bringing this together created a richer understanding. Then, the local of the study is multicultural aviation workforces. Aviation is uniquely global. Airports and airlines employ staff from dozens of nationalities working together under strict safety regulations. So this setting is ideal for studying AI recruitment because it highlights the intersection of technology and diversity. For example, an AI system trained on Western datasets may not align with the expectations of employees in the UAE or Asia. By focusing on innovation, the study addresses a sector where retention is not just about cost savings but about safety, reliability, and teamwork. Respondents. Instead of human respondents, this study analyzed published scholarship and expert sources. This included peer reviewed journal articles, conference papers, and thematic reviews. This choice ensured that the findings were grounded in credible, verifiable evidence. For example, I drew on studies from Personal Review by Mori and others 2025 on Ethics in AI Recruitment and Academy of Management Journal by Can 1990 on engagement. By treating these sources as respondents, the study systematically captured the voices of scholars and practitioners across different regions and disciplines. And then to organize the data, I used three instruments: a literature matrix, where each study was cataloged by author, year, methodology, findings, and theoretical lens, and then thematic coding, which group findings into categories such as efficiency, fairness, engagement, leadership, and culture. And then the conceptual mapping, which visually link theories to outcomes. So this structured approach ensured that the review was not just descriptive but analytical, highlighting relationships among variables. Validity was ensured through three strategies: the theoretical alignment, where each finding was checked against the guiding theories; the source triangulation, where multiple sources were compared to confirm consistency; then the Harvard Oxford calibration, where the review was benchmarked against international academic standards, ensuring rigor in citation, synthesis, and argumentation. This means that the conclusions are not only credible but globally relevant. And then reliability was achieved by consistent coding, wherein the same thematic categories were applied across all studies, avoiding bias. Then cross-reference themes, where findings were checked across multiple articles to ensure they were not isolated. Then Google Scholar verifiable sources, wherein only peer-reviewed or academically recognized works were included, ensuring replicability. This means that another researcher could follow the same process and arrive at similar insights. Lastly, is this statistical treatment. So, although this was a qualitative study, it employed structured analytical techniques. First is the thematic synthesis, wherein patterns across studies were identified, such as the consistent importance of procedural fairness. And then the conceptual framework modeling, wherein the theories were integrated into a framework showing how AI recruitment influences retention through fairness, engagement, and leadership. Then the narrative integration, where findings were woven into a coherent story, connecting diverse contexts into one narrative. So this approach allowed the study to move beyond description to explanation and theoretical building. In summary, the design and methodology ensured that this study was rigorous, credible, and globally relevant. By using a narrative literature review focusing on multicultural aviation and applying structured instruments, the review was able to synthesize diverse perspectives into a coherent framework. So, this methodology laid the foundation for the results and discussion that will follow. So, for our hypothesis one, the significant relationship between AI driven recruitment and talent retention among employees. So, findings show that a positive relationship between AI driven recruitment and talent retention. Employees recruited through AI processes reported higher satisfaction and lower turnover. For example, the predictive analytics help identify candidates more likely to stay, reducing costly attrition. Hypothesis number two is the significant mediation of employee engagement in the relationship between AI driven recruitment and talent retention. In here, employee engagement was found to mediate the relationship. AI tools alone do not secure retention because employees must feel the process is meaningful and fair. For instance, chatbot interviews that provide clear feedback increase engagement, which in turn strengthens retention. And for the significant influence of fairness perception on employee retention and multicultural aviation workforces, fairness emerged as a critical factor. Procedural fairness, clarity, and transparency was the strongest predictor of retention. Employees valued knowing how decisions were made more than just the outcomes. So, transparent recruitments build trust and loyalty. For hypothesis number four, how demographic and cultural factors moderate trust in AI systems. So, trust in AI varied across demographics. For example, the Emirati employees or the UAE national employees showed higher trust compared to expats. And then women emphasize transparency more strongly than men. Another example is that long serving employees were more skeptical of AI tools. So this reflects Hofstede's cultural dimension wherein values like collectivism and uncertainty avoidance shape perceptions. Last hypothesis is the role of ethical leadership in ensuring transparency and accountability. So leadership plays a decisive role. Ethical leaders who communicate clearly the model accountability increase trust in AI systems. For example, when managers explain how AI screening works and ensure fairness, employees are more likely to accept and trust the process. So, now allow me to synthesize the findings into a broader conclusion. Each of these points highlight not only the technical side of the AI recruitment, but also the human, cultural, and ethical dimensions that determine whether employees stay committed. First is the AI clearly improves recruitment and retention when it is applied ethically and transparency. So efficiency gains are real, like the resume parsers and predictive analytics reduce time to hire and help match candidates more accurately to roles. But efficiency alone is not enough. Studies show that if algorithms are trained on biased datasets, they can replicate inequalities rather than reduce them. This is based on the study by Mori and others year 2025. So therefore, transparency is essential. Candidates must understand how decisions are made, and organizations must audit AI systems regularly. Because when fairness safeguards are in place, AI becomes a tool not only for efficiency but for trust building and recruitment. Second is engagement in the psychological bridge between recruitment and retention. Technology alone cannot secure loyalty. Employees must feel valued and involved. According to Kahn's 1990 theory of engagement, it explains that workers remain committed when they experience meaningfulness, safety, and availability in the roles. In recruitment, this means AI tools should not be impersonal. For example, chatbot interviews that provide constructive feedback or uh, platforms that highlight career growth opportunities strengthen engagement. A research by Jansi Rani and others 2024 confirms that engagement mediates the link between AI recruitment and retention. So, without engagement, technology risks becoming transactional rather than relational. Third is the procedural fairness drives retention more than distributive outcomes. The organizational justice theory by Greenberg 1987 distinguishes between distributive fairness, whether the outcome is favorable, and procedural fairness, whether the process is clear and transparent. Employees can often accept unfavorable outcomes if they believe the process was fair. In AI recruitment, this means explaining algorithmic criteria and ensuring transparency. For example, if candidates know why they were shortlisted or rejected, they are more likely to trust the system. Studies show that procedural fairness is the strongest predictor of retention intention in multicultural aviation workforces. Fourth is the culture and leadership shape trust in AI systems. So, Hofstede's 2010 Cultural Dimensions Framework explains why perceptions of fairness vary across nationalities. Collectivist cultures may value group harmony while individualist cultures emphasize merit based recognition. Demographic also matters. Example, Emirati employees reported higher trust in AI compared to expats, and then Another one is the long serving employees tended to be more skeptical of AI tools. So leadership plays a decisive role here. Ethical leadership, ethical leaders who communicate openly, explain AI processes, and take responsibilities for outcomes foster trust. Brown and Trevino 2006 emphasized that ethical leadership is about modeling fairness and accountability. In aviation, where safety depends on trust, leadership is the anchor of AI adoption. Finally, AI must be human centered. Success depends on adapting AI tools to cultural values, fairness, exceptions, and ethical standards. Algorithms should be calibrated to respect diverse communication styles and avoid reinforcing bias. For example, collectivist cultures may expect inclusive communication while individualist cultures prioritize merit based recognition. Ethical leadership and transparent communication are critical to embedding trust. As Singh and Paddy 2025 argue, AI recruitment must be evaluated not only for efficiency but for uh, its human-centered impact. So this means organization must design AI systems that are not uh, just technically efficient, but socially and ethically responsible. In essence, retention outcomes are not only technical but deeply cultural and ethical. IA recruitment must be evaluated not just for efficiency but for its human centered impact. So, having presented the conclusions of this study, let me now translate these findings into actionable items. These recommendations are designed not only for academic discussion but also for practical application by HR practitioners, aviation leaders, and policymakers. So they provide a roadmap for implementing AI responsibly and inclusively. First, recruitment systems must be transparent. AI should never feel like a black box. Applicants deserve to know why they were shortlisted or rejected. For example, if an algorithm prioritizes certain skills or experiences, this should be communicated clearly. Transparency builds trust, reduces perceptions of bias, and reassures employees that decisions are fair. Innovation, where safety and reliability depend on trust, this transparency is non negotiable. Second, is embed employee engagement strategies. So, AI tools must be complemented with human interaction. Technology can streamline processes, but it cannot replace mentorship, feedback, and communication. For instance, after an AI driven interview, managers should follow up with personalized feedback. This human touch sustains employee commitment and ensures that recruitment is not just efficient but meaningful. Engagement is the psychological bridge between recruitment and retention. And then we have prioritize procedural fairness. Third, organizations must emphasize procedural fairness. Employees care most about clarity and transparency in how decisions are made, often more than the outcomes themselves. For example, even if a candidate is not selected, they are more likely to accept the decision if the process was explained clearly. Designing recruitment systems with fairness safeguards such as audit trails and clear communications strengthens trust and loyalty. Then we have fourth, leaders must be trained in ethical AI adoption or use. Ethical leadership is the anchor of trust. Leaders should model accountability, explain AI processes, and ensure fairness. For example, when introducing AI screening tools, leaders should communicate openly about how they work and take responsibility for outcomes because employees are more likely to trust AI systems when they see leaders practicing transparency and accountability. Then, Fifth, AI systems must be culturally adaptive. Algorithms should respect diverse communication styles and fairness expectations. For example, collectivist cultures may value group harmony and inclusive communication, while individualist cultures emphasize merit based recognition. Innovation, where themes are multicultural, adapting AI to cultural values is essential to avoid alienation and strengthen retention. Then we have conduct longitudinal studies. So future research should conduct longitudinal studies. It is not enough to measure AI's impact at the point of adoption. We must ask, does AI continue to improve retention over time? For example, initial enthusiasm may fade if fairness concerns are not addressed. Longitudinal studies will help organizations understand whether AI benefits are sustainable in the long run. Finally, SD comparative research should be expanded beyond aviation. Aviation is a safety critical, but the lessons here apply to other sectors such as the healthcare, education, and logistics. Comparative studies will test whether findings are generationable, ensuring that AI recruitment strategies benefit diverse industries. So, in summary, these recommendations are not only academic but practical. They provide a roadmap for HR practitioners, aviation leaders, and policymakers to implement AI responsibly and inclusively. So, transparency, engagement, fairness, leadership, and cultural adaptability and ongoing research are the pillars of sustainable AI adoption. If these steps are followed, so AI recruitment can truly enhance retention while respecting the human values that keep the organization strong. As I conclude, let me acknowledge the scholars and sources that provided the theoretical and empirical foundation of this review. These references not only guided the analysis but also ensured that the conclusions are academically rigorous and globally relevant. We have Ali Islamic Work Ethic 1988, wherein uh, Hali's work highlighted cultural ethics, showing how values influence employee expectations and fairness and transparency and recruitment. Then we have Brown, Emmy, and Trevino, 2006, Ethical Leadership. So their research emphasized the role of leaders in modeling fairness, transparency, and accountability, which is critical for building trust in AI systems. Then Radabuyev and others, 2025, provide a systematic review showing that AI enhances recruitment efficiency but requires fairness and transparency safeguards to ensure positive retention outcomes. Then we have Freeman, 1984, who introduced the stakeholder approach to strategic management. And then we have Greenberg J, 1987, organizational justice theory. Then we have Ofsted, 2010, cultural dimensions framework, and John C. Rani, 2024, where they conducted a study of AI in HR. So according to their study, it demonstrated how AI can rev- revolutionize recruitment, retention, engagement, but also highlighted the importance of human-centered practices. And then also we have others like Khan, 1980, employee engagement theory, Mori and Bonti, 2025, on ethics in AI recruitment, and then Seshadri and Palivela, 2023. And then last, we have Singh and Body, 2024, on the impact of AI on talent acquisition. So this ends my presentation. I would like to acknowledge the support of our mentor, Dr. Henaro, my colleagues, and the organizers of this conference for providing a platform to share this work. Shukran. Thank you for listening. May God bless us all. Thank you.